Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today is part two of how to fence your 5 acres. Part one, I talked about, you bought a farm, there wasn't anything there. And basically, I get these questions a lot on people email me, where do you start at? I mean, you don't have any infrastructure there. Do you start with the water, or you build your fence, you bring in the animals? You don't bring in the animals. You got to get your fence up. And so I'm going to cover in this section how I would fence my 5 acres. We talked earlier a little bit about if you're next to neighbors or they have dogs and you're going to be running sheep or something in here, you don't want a real porous fence or anything that his brother can come through there and kill your sheep or chase them or harass them, maybe even coyotes. So I personally, because our cattle or sheep are broke, I'm going to use 5 wires of high tensile around this farm. I'm going to show you a little bit about high tensile fence here in a little bit. But let's just say you bought the farm and it's fenced with 5 strands of barbed wire. So you got barbed wire on all 4 sides. And you've got a gate. You've got a gate over here in the corner. Okay, that's a gate. That's how you get the animals into your 5 acres. So the first thing I'm going to do, if I've already got barbed wire fence around it, there is a fence here. I'm looking at this, I'm like, how am I going to get animals in there? And when they come to the farm, where am I going to put them? Because you got to remember, when animals come off a trailer, they don't know your area. They're not used to this. This is not home. They may be looking for where home was at. And so you want to contain them. You want to contain them until they realize where they're at and everything's good and safe and secure. Maybe they've got the stress off of them from hauling them to your farm. And so what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to put a catch pen. Some people call them a corral. Okay? A corral is just like what it says. I mean, you're going to corral them. You're going to keep them there until they calm down. And on this corral, there's going to be a gate right there. So I can let them, I can let them out of that gate once they calm down. Now this could be sheep, it could be cattle, it could be goats, whatever. You need a way to catch them. And when you bring them onto your farm, sooner or later, you're going to want to catch those animals. And if you don't have an area on your farm that you can catch them at, good luck. You're gonna have a tough time rounding them up. So a corral is a real handy thing to have on your farm to unload into. And when you get ready to sell something, or maybe you want to haul into the arbiter to have it processed into meat, corrals work real nice. It gives you an area to go up there and catch them. You can back your trailer up here or your truck, and you can load your animal on there safely. You're safe, the animal's safe, and ultimately they can't get away from you. Now, we've got the corral in. So what's the corral made out of? Well, I see a lot of people overbuild corrals. In other words, they spend a lot of money on corrals, and you can spend a lot of money. I mean, you can get a head catch. If we're talking cattle, the darn head catches are $15,000 to $20,000. You don't need that, not for 5 acres. So what we're looking at here is we're assuming we're going to run sheep, folks, because sheep, you can run more sheep on 5 acres than you can cows. If this is all grass, the whole thing is grass, you could probably run maybe 2 steers on there, 400-pound steers, or you could run 10 ewes. It's your choice. I'm going to run 10 ewes because I can run more of them on a smaller acreage like this. They're not going to overgraze it. And I'll tell you something about sheep. If you got young children, they can't hurt them. A cow can run over one. They get spooked, especially up in the corral. They can, they're just big animals. And a sheep is not going to hurt you. So you can raise more of them. They're very low maintenance when you get the right kind of sheep. And we're going to talk about that after a while. So we've got our corral in. I'm going to say when we bought this farm, it had 5 strands of barbed wire on all 4 sides. So I've already got steel posts in there. The steel posts are on 12-foot centers. Okay, there's barbed wire, 5 strands of it. How am I going to make that tight for sheep? Because a 5-strand barbed wire fence is not a sheep fence. They're not going to stay in there. They're going to go through that barbed wire fence. And so what we have done is where we have barbed wire, we run an offset. What do I mean by an offset? Well, I'm going to show you. So this is a timeless post, and I like these, and I do promote these, and I need to be straight up. You know, I do get a small commission when people do mention my name when they buy timeless posts. I want to put that out there because it seems like people get upset if I promote something and I don't tell that I get something out of it. This is the only thing that I'm promoting, folks. This and Hisea boots. Anyway, I want to tell you something. This post is already drilled. Okay, it's got a weather-resistant coating on it, so you don't have to paint it, and it makes a really nice offset. This is a 4-footer. Okay, so it's already got the marker on it. It's been wore off here, but there was a mark there, a label. You drive it in, pretty, you don't see the label. You've got it in perfectly. It's about 32 inches tall. So the idea is you're going to run 2 wires offset on the inside here of your barbed wire, all the way around. Well, you've already got corner posts. You've got to have corners in it or your barbed wire wouldn't be up. It'd be laying on the ground. So you can hook onto your corners with just what they call an eye insulator. I don't know if I've got any of these. I don't think I have any in here. I wanted to show y'all something. This is a really good bag. Get you a good fencing bag. It's got a zipper on it. Super heavy duty. You can put all your tools in there. I'm going to go over the tools here in a minute. But I like these posts because I can just drive them in the ground. They're already pre-sharpened. They've got a point on them. And they're shaped just like a T-post. So you can drive them in the ground with a T-post driver, one of those metal drivers. And with an offset like this, what I'm going to do for sheep, I'm going to run my bottom wire right here is going to be around 8 inches off the ground. And then my next wire is going to be around 15 inches. So about 8 and 15 inches off the ground all the way around this corral, all the way around your 5 acres. By doing that, what you're doing is when the sheep go up to try and go through that barbed wire, they've got to negotiate one of these. So this wire is going to be going through here like that, okay? But it's going to be extremely tight. And this is 12 gauge, 170,000 PSI, high tensile. So it's going to have, our chargers, electric fence charger will be hooked to this. And you're going to have probably around 6,000 to 8,000 volts going through here. So when the sheep comes up to your fence and they try and go through the barbed wire, they're going to have this little booger right here on their nose or their back. And when their nose hits the barbed wire, they're grounded. I mean, they are grounded very well because all those barbed wires are hooked to those steel posts, ground rods. I've never had a sheep go through an offset wire, ever, just because there's so many grounds. A sheep has more of a leathery foot than a cow does, and they're lighter, so they're harder to get shocked. But you won't have any trouble with this. So how far apart do I want, how far off that fence line do I want to run my offset wire? Well, I like to run our offset. I'll just write it in here. 6-inch offset. Why 6 inches? So I'm talking about running it right here, 6 inches all the way along this fence. If you go more than 6 inches off your permanent fence right here, what's going to happen is all that area behind that wire is going to grow up into brush. It's going to have trees. It's going to have a multiple rose bushes, you name it. It's going to be growing up behind that. And so don't go any more than 6 inches. Sheep can reach under that fence and kind of keep that clean. And also it makes it a lot easier to run a weed eater. If it's only 6 inches, you can keep that clean. If you come out a foot, you're not going to be able to reach in there. It's going to be a lot tougher. And you're fencing off more of your land that they can't graze, which is ridiculous. You just bought it, you got the fence on it, and you're fencing it off where they can't eat it. You don't want to do that. So right here in the corner, there's going to be braces. You get what they call an eye insulator. You can buy them through Timeless Fence and Timeless or Powerflex. They're just an insulator that your high tensile wire goes around. And what it's doing is it's insulating the wire from grounding out on your wooden corner posts. Or you may have steel corner posts, I don't know, but most of them are probably going to be wood. And so you got your 8 and your 15-inch height. Let me write that in there. So you got 8-inch height. My magic marker is laying down, going to sleep on me. Let me bring out the powerful one. 8 and 15-inch height. Okay, so that's your bottom. This would be your bottom, and this would be your top. Okay, and we're talking sheep here. We're not talking cattle. So we got 2 wires. We got it. Well, you can't even read that 8 one, can you? Let me write that in a little better. Okay, you got 8 inches. You got 15 inches. Well, now that I've got an 8-inch and 15-inch wire all the way around there, it's tight. If it's a barbed wire fence and a dog comes underneath there, he's going to have that 8-inch wire waiting on him. And if it's got 8,000 volts in it, you're going to hear a howl. And that's because his back is going to be on that barbed wire fence. He's going to hit that hot wire. And he may come through there once, but it'll probably be a while before he comes back. Keep a hot voltage in your fence, 8,000 volts. You know, I tell people, electric fence, it's not a physical barrier, it's a psychological barrier. It will absolutely make you remember it when you touch it, okay? So now we've got our wires in there, our high tensile wires. We've got our post set. You don't drive your post through there until you get that wire hooked on and kind of get it in and pull it tight, and then you can drive your post. Well, how are you going to pull this wire tight? It's high tensile. Well, here's a piece of it, okay? There's a tool called a daisy tensioner, okay? So your daisy tensioner goes over your 170,000 PSI wire like that. And then when you buy your daisy tensioner, you can get a daisy handle. And I'll turn it around backwards so you can see it. It's got a square hole in there, okay? And this has got a square hole. So basically you put this on there and you spin this and it acts like a ratchet. It just wraps it around this. And as you wrap it around, you finally get it to the right tension. You get this cute little key right here. And you run it. Well, let me turn it around this way so you can see better. That key goes in those holes like so, okay? Can you see that? When you run that key in there, this tensioner cannot back up. And the beauty of this daisy is, I can't get it in there. I don't have enough hands. The beauty of the daisy tensioner is if you see your wire get loose on you, all you've got to do is pull that out and give it another wrap. You don't want to do it with the fence on. Make sure the fence is turned off. And you can give it another half a wrap and you can get all your wires tight again. I love these. I'll tell you why. They're easy to tighten back up. They don't arc. I've used the other tensioners and they will start arcing and they'll actually drop your wire on the ground. I've never had one of these start arcing. Now there's a difference in daisy tensioners. Just remember this. Buy the one that Timeless Fence has. It's the Cadillac. It's a lot thicker. It's got better craftsmanship. When I saw the difference, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a good daisy tensioner, okay? Get the good one. All right, so I've told you how to tighten the high tensile fence. Now, let me lay this stuff on the ground. We've got our 2 wires. We've got 8 and 15 inches. We put our bullet insulators here on the corner to keep it from being grounded on our corners. So now we basically got the perimeter fence in. So we talked a little bit about last time, well, now we got a fence, how are we gonna rotate the animals? Well, I'm gonna tell you how we're gonna rotate them. There's only one wire that there's only one fence I'm gonna put in here, and it's right here. Okay, you notice I stopped short at both ends because I want a gate. I want to have a gate on both ends. This is high tensile. This is high tensile. And if I'm going to be running sheep and they're not trained to hot wire, you better run 3 because they're probably going to go through 2. If they're not used to hot wire, they're going to run through that. And to get them broke well, we bought sheep and we had 3 wires in and they didn't go through it. Today, many years later, we've got our sheep trained to 1 wire. It took some time, and that's a whole nother video. I'll tell you how we did that. But starting out, I would probably drive a corner post. So you're gonna need a wooden corner post, or if you can find a fiberglass post, you're gonna need a corner post there. You're gonna need one right there, okay? And then you're gonna pull your first wire, hook it on here, come down to this post. We're talking about this kind of wire, high tensile, okay? Once you get that, and your daisy tensioner, folks, you wanna put that daisy tensioner right here. Right there in the middle. So your daisy tensioner is pulling the wire from both directions, okay? Put in your bottom wire first, and then it'd be your second wire, which would be 15, then your top wire. If you're gonna run three wires through the middle of that, I'm gonna change my spacing on that middle fence, because I know how cagey sheep are. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go 6 inches, 12 inches, and 18 inches. That's my spacing. Okay, that's the spacing on that fence. Now, I've got my farm ready to graze, almost. I'm not gonna cover the water on this one. That's gonna be part 3. But my water line, I'm going to show you how we put that in. It's going to go right underneath that fence. And the reason you want to put it underneath that fence is because you can rotate, which I'm going to show in a little bit, and you'll have water no matter where you rotate in this farm. So we've got the permanent fence in now, okay? That fence is in, the perimeter's in. I got a corral holding area in, and my gate coming out of the back of that corral. It can be as simple as a 10-foot pipe gate, or it could be a cattle panel. Don't go and buy a bunch of steel gates for sheep. That you don't need that. All you need is a couple steel posts and the cattle panels. And some of you all newbies don't know what a cattle panel is. It's not a big steel gate, okay? It looks like woven wire fence kind of, but it's a lot thicker. It's the diameter of that pin, okay? It's not the diameter of my finger. It's the diameter of that pin. And it's going to be 4 foot tall, so you can drive your steel post down here, fasten your cattle panels on here, and on a 5-acre tract like that, my corral, I'm not going to make it any more than probably 2 cattle panels. That'd be 32 by 16. That's what I'd do it. I'd go 32 deep and 16 across. So you only need 1 cattle panel here and 2 here. That's going to hold all that you want to put in there to graze, okay? So I'm going to stop right there. In part 3, we're going to be talking about how to put the water in. And then part 4, I'm going to bring in my temporary fencing materials. I'm going to show you how we're going to rotate our animals on our new 5-acre farms for you homesteaders. Everyone have a good one, and we'll see you at part 3. Take care.